Hello, in this video I am going to be telling you my top 10 favourite films of 2023. I'm so excited to do this video because I just love film and I'm just very excited to share everything that I've watched with you guys. So in the year of 2023 I watched 85 films in total, and before I get to my list, there's actually not 10, there's actually 16 films. Top 10 16 films of 2023, because I feel like I just have to mention them. I'll probably go into more detail on the top 10, and the 6 I'll probably just briefly tell you why I liked it. But yes, there's actually 16 films on this list. But before I even get into them, I just wanted to say a little honourable mention, even though it's not a film. So this is a TV show, but I'm not doing a video like this on TV shows just because I didn't watch enough TV shows, to be honest. I probably watched 4 or 5 new TV shows this year, and I probably wouldn't even put them all on this list, so I'm not doing a TV one. But I just wanted to mention it because I really loved it and enjoyed it. I wanted to mention the TV show Gen V.
You're fucked up. I'm fucked up. The one thing that is really apparent now is that we are all fucked up.
It's lights.
Which is a kind of spin-off show of The Boys. I watched The Boys. I love The Boys. Yeah, I definitely love it. I don't think I love it as much as like superfans or anything, but I like it. It's an enjoyable show. I was excited for the new season. I was excited to see what happened in the last episode. So when I saw they were releasing a new one, I kind of was a bit worried because I was like, oh, watcher's fatigue, can I really be asked? But I watched it and I love it, and I think I even like it more than The Boys because I think it's directed to a younger audience, Gen V, and even though the characters in the thing are actually younger than me, which is so depressing, but anyway, they're characters, not the actors, but the characters are. Though they're younger, I still heavily related because it hasn't been that long since I went to college, because the show essentially is about superheroes who are at superhero college. That's what it's about. And yeah, I just think it provided a really interesting kind of lens to look at these powers from, because you could then bring in different things of like kind of the things that young people struggle with and kind of grapple with. So you could bring in sexuality and gender identity and romance, relationships, mental health and superpowers. Like, I just found the questions of kind of what do you do with a superhero who has mental health problems, like just really interesting things that I'd never considered before. So I really enjoyed it, and I think also a big part of me really enjoying it were the characters, Sam and Emma. They were just, I love them. They're just my faves. So yeah, I just wanted to briefly get that out of the way because it was something I watched last year, and I heavily enjoyed it. It like influenced my years, so I just had to bring it up. Okay, into actual films now. Gonna try to be quick on these first 6 because they're not the top 10. Coming in at number 16, we have Howls Moving Castle.
Journey to amazing new worlds.
Find me in the future!
Aboard Howls Moving Castle.
So I watched this in 2023. I've watched a few Studio Ghibli. I grew up on Spirited Away, but kind of never ventured out of that. I only watched Spirited Away, but I loved Spirited Away. So as I got older, I then watched more because I realised there's more than just Spirited Away here, there's more. Finally watched Howl's Moving Castle, and I really enjoyed it. I think it's probably one of my favourites that I've seen so far. I love the storyline, love the characters, love Howl, love the music, and I kind of put off watching it because I'd heard that it was really sad, and then I watched it and it actually wasn't that sad. So yeah, I don't know where I had that from, but it wasn't that sad, which I was happy about because I was worried it was going to be sad. So yes, Howl's Moving Castle is number 16. I really enjoyed it, and Howl is voiced by Christian Bale, I think, which was just otherworldly experience. Moving on, number 15, we have Decision to Leave.
내가 그렇게 만만합니까?
내가 그렇게 나쁩니까?
So I really wanted to watch this film because I'd heard that people said it was really good, and I did really enjoy it. I think for me it was maybe a little bit too long, but it was a gorgeous film, very interesting themes that were explored. very clever filmmaking, but I do think for me maybe a bit too long. I do remember feeling a bit bored at certain points, but overall it was an enjoyable experience and a film that I would recommend. Number 14, we have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
We'll all fly away together into the forever and beautiful sky.
Now, I wasn't even going to watch this film because I am one of the people who loved Marvel and now has had enough since the end of Avengers. I've kind of just been like, I'm not interested anymore. What's the point? Like, there's no Iron Man, there's no Captain America. What's the point anymore? It's never going to be as good as the old days. Like, that's kind of the stance that I have. But I did watch the new Spider-Man because of Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire and everyone coming back. That was a very good film. But yeah, I kind of hadn't been keeping up. I'd seen Black Widow, haven't seen the new Marvels film. I haven't even seen Thor Love and Thunder, but apparently that wasn't very good anyway. But I did go see Guardians because I thought, you know what? I've seen the first two. It's the last one. Let's just do it. And I'm so glad I did because it was so good, but it was so sad. Like, I think that film traumatized me for real. Just so sad. Like, why did James Gunn accidentally make an animal rights film? Now, I'm someone who really, really cares about animals. I'm a vegetarian and I really, really care about animals. I'm very passionate about keeping them safe and not testing on animals, not harming animals, not eating animals. So this film was a lot for me. I found it very emotionally draining because if you don't know, you see a lot about Rocket's backstory and he was essentially tested on. So yeah, there were parts where you're seeing animals in pain and that's not what I like to see. So I did find it really hard to watch, and I watched it when it came out and I haven't seen it since. I haven't quite been able to bring myself to watch it. I want to because it is a good film, but it was just so emotionally harrowing. I'm like, I'm not ready yet because I know it's on Disney Plus, but I still haven't seen it again. I will one day, but I'm just not ready, I think. Yeah, it was just very emotional for me, but I did really, really enjoy it. I like films that get a response from me, and it did. So yeah, but I did realise while watching the film that I really do not care about any of the other Guardians. I find them all really annoying. Literally the only one that I care about is Rocket, but that is fine because for me what this film did was it basically recentered the whole trilogy because it just showed that the whole thing was about Rocket essentially, which I loved because he's the only tolerable character on in that group for me at this point. Yeah, I just really don't like the direction that the group has taken, to be honest, except for Rocket, who I love. So I did really love that it was all about him essentially. And I love Bradley Cooper, who voices him, so that was great. Also, Will Poulter is in this film. Love Will Poulter. So his I like his character and like he was really good. But yeah, I have not watched it since and I don't know when I'm going to be able to watch it, but I would recommend it. Just maybe bring tissues. Yeah. For 13, we have a bit of a rogue one, and this is a rom-com called Drive Me Crazy that I believe came out in the early 2000s.
Who are we making jealous?
Everyone.
See you after school, hun.
But I saw it come up on Disney Plus and I hadn't seen it. I've seen quite a lot of rom-coms, but I hadn't seen this one, so I was like, I'm gonna watch it. And I was just so pleasantly surprised. It was so good, it was so entertaining, it was so fun, and the main guy was extremely, extremely attractive. So this has made its way onto like my favourite rom-coms of all time, and I watched it in 2023, which is so random. But yeah, I just really, really enjoyed it. So if you're looking for an easy watch, feel-good film with a hot male lead, Drive Me Crazy, that's the one for you. Next we have 12 Angry Men.
I want you to watch this because I don't want to have to do it again. I'll make myself about 6 or 7 inches shorter, okay?
Which is a classic, which I finally watched, and it just had to make the list because it is a good film. Yeah, it's really good. It's essentially 12 men debating. They're 12 men on a jury debating if a guy is guilty or not, and there are loads of different arguments, and it just highlights loads of kind of prejudice that maybe the jury have, because it is set like back in the day. And yeah, just a really, really interesting film. Very good performances from all the men. They were certainly very angry. So yeah, I did enjoy it. In number 11, we have the film Awakenings.
Leonard, that's not wading, that's swimming, Leonard!
I just put this on randomly because I saw it and I saw that Robin Williams and Robert De Niro were in it, and I love those two actors, so I was like, it's probably going to be good. And it was really, really, really good. So touching, but also so sad. So Awakenings is a true story about these people in, I think it was the 60s, but I could be wrong, in a care home, who basically all of them were unresponsive. So they are patients who just kind of sit there, they don't speak or move, but they're alive, and like they get fed, like they get washed, but they're just maintained and they don't do anything. And essentially Robin Williams comes in and starts working with these people, and he is trying to find a way to help them, and he manages to find a way to awaken them and get them to move and to experience life again. And it's just an insane story that is true, and it's insane that it's true. And I also found it crazy that I'd never heard about it. Never ever heard about it. I think it's such an interesting, fascinating story, and it is very sad and heartbreaking, but a really good movie. And I think Robert De Niro is a main part of why I like it so much, because his performance was just so touching. And yeah, just a really good performance from him, also from Robin Williams, but I think Robert stood out a little bit more to me. Yeah, just a really, really interesting story that is true, and it was also directed by a woman, so bonus points for that. And yeah, it's based on a book. There's like a series of books, like 3 books that were published by the doctor who Robin plays, and I want to read those books because I'm so intrigued, because it's such a fascinating story to me, an event, and kind of the idea of these people who are living and are not awake, and kind of what happens when they wake up, and then what happens when they wake up but then they go back to sleep again, like, and all that stuff. I just find it very interesting and very fascinating. So that is Awakenings, in my number 11 spot. Now we are on to the top 10, which I will dive into a little bit more, although I know I did just speak quite a bit about Awakenings, but it was just really good. And at number 10, we have the Eras Tour movie.
We're about to go on a little adventure together, and that adventure is going to span 17 years of music. How does that sound?
Taylor Swift's movie. So I am actually going to the real Eras Tour, and I can't wait. I'm going this year, 2024. But I wanted to watch the concert version of the movie version of the concert, just because I wanted to. I was like, I know I'm going to see this in person, but I want to see it in concert. I want to see it at the cinema as well, and I did. And it was a really good time. It was so fun just to see her perform all the songs, and it looks like an incredible show. So I can't wait to see it in real life. I know right now you can rent the movie at home and kind of watch it at home, and I fully intend to do that, and I think I will. So yeah, just a really good movie. Maybe don't watch it if you don't like Taylor Swift, because like it doesn't make sense. But yeah, I really, really liked it. Number 9, we have the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
It's the things we love most that destroy us.
Now I feel like this is a bit of a controversial one in terms of people liking it and some people not, but I really, really liked it. I have not read the book of the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I have read all the Hunger Games, love the Hunger Games, massive fan, but have not read this new book. I do really want to read it now, but I really liked the film. It was just Hunger Games, and I love Hunger Games, so I was happy to receive another Hunger Games movie, essentially, and I think the acting was really good. I love the singing. I like musicals, I like singing, so that was good for me. I really loved seeing a Hunger Games back in the day, like in the past, and how it was done then, and then you compare it to how like Katniss's games were. I found that all very interesting, very fascinating. I loved watching the actual games themselves. I loved seeing the kind of trying to work out snow and like his thought processes and like how his kind of fall from grace and all that stuff. I found that very, very interesting. The actor is also very hot, but that's fine. And yeah, just like a very, very enjoyable film. I keep thinking about it like days after it, not days, months after I watched it, I still think about it. So I would really like to watch it again because I've only watched it once in the cinema. But yeah, I just really enjoyed it. And I just feel like Snow and Lucy Gray's relationship is so like Taylor Swift coded. So I love it. I keep listening to Taylor Swift and I'm just thinking about them. I'm like, wow, I love being a woman. So yeah, that is the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which I did really, really like. Next we have number 8, and this is the film White Noise.
Right now we're safe. As long as the children are here, they need us.
Of some persistent sense of large-scale ruin, we keep inventing hope.
That came out on Netflix, and it was with Adam Driver and Greta Gerwig. I really, really enjoyed this film. So it's based on a book, and it's such a weird movie. It's kind of about when this family think it's the end of the world and like what that makes them do and like kind of that experience, and it's so good. I really, really liked it. It was quite absurd at moments, and I really, really enjoyed that. And I don't know, in the filmmaking I could see like influences from other places, at least that I thought influences from other places. For example, there were parts in like a supermarket that really reminded me of the film Repo Man, and I love Repo Man, so like seeing that I was like, this is so interesting. Yeah, I just really, really enjoyed it. I think it's not for everyone. I watched it with my parents, and my dad really enjoyed it as well, but my mum was like, what is going on? I hate this. So definitely not for everyone, but yeah, I really enjoyed it, and it's the type of film that I think you can dissect a lot and get a lot of meanings. And I also just love Adam Driver, and I obviously love Greta Gerwig, so yeah, it was just a recipe for success for me. Next, at number 7, we have The Triangle of Sadness.
The world needs now is love, sweet love. No, not just the song, but for everyone.
This is really bad. This is really, really bad.
Absolutely love this film. Oh my god, absolutely love this film. The director is, I'll put his name on the screen. I'd never watched something of his before, but after I watched Triangle of Sadness, I watched Force Majeure, which I was supposed to watch back when I studied film, but I never did. And I watched it, and I actually didn't like Force Majeure as much as Triangle of Sadness. I think Triangle of Sadness is better. And it's so good. It's just such an absurd, comedic, eat the rich type tale. It's essentially about people on this like luxury cruise, and then they what's the word, they crash, is that the word for a boat? They crash onto a desert island like that, and that's the plot. And I just really enjoyed it. I found it very funny. I found it it was just crazy, like it was insane, but really good. And the acting was really good. Yeah, that's all I can really say about it. I really, really enjoyed it. I think the tone was just exactly right, and it was just the type of tone of movie that I love. So yeah, Triangle of Sadness would highly, highly, highly recommend. Okay, we're getting into the big stuff now. So we got Banshees of Inisherin next.
Why does he not want to be friends with you no more? What is he, 12?
What the hell's going on with you, me feckin' brother?
He's dull, Siobhan.
But he's always been dull.
Which I watched in 2023. I believe it came out in 2022 though, but I only watched it in 2023 on Disney+. I have talked about this film before in my top 10 favourite films of all time, so that can tell you how much I like it. But yes, Banshees of Inisherin, I just love this film so much. It's essentially about these people on an island off the coast of Ireland, and the civil war is going on in Ireland, and they're kind of aside from it, and it's just about like their kind of life on the island. And there's 2 main characters, Colm and Podrick, and Colm basically says to Podrick, I don't want to be your friend anymore, and it's about everything that happens because of that. I'm trying to be very brief about this so I don't gush about it too much, but it just, for me, is such a good film. It is incredibly bleak, it is incredibly funny, it's incredibly Irish, and I love it so much. It is quite long, and I love that. It's so good. I think the main parts for me that I love so much are the script. I think the script is phenomenal, and I love the dynamics and the relationships between the different characters, and I love the sincerity of the characters and how just real they feel, and the relationships between the characters, and the performances are outstanding as well. So for me, standing out, Colin Farrell is just a genius. I love him, such a good actor. Then Kerry, who plays his sister Siobhan, is amazing. And then you have Barry Keoghan playing Dominic, who is the village gom, and just that, honestly, I think that's his best role, better than Saltburn, which I will be talking about in this video. I think it's a better role than Saltburn for Barry. I think this is the best I've ever seen him act. I think he just steals every scene that he's in. He steals the whole movie for me in general. That's Banshees of Inisherin. Watch it. It's so good. Yeah, dark comedy, Irish, amazing, stellar cast. I've just realised I wrote this list before I watched Saltburn, so I'm just gonna have to shoehorn it in there. So I'm gonna add another film. Let's say Banshees of Inisherin and Saltburn are on the same. They're both number 6. Okay, so now let's talk about Saltburn.
I think you're a moth. Quiet, harmless, drawn to shiny things.
What have you done? I just thought that maybe I could help.
You're not leaving us. You're not leaving Saltburn.
I don't think I'll ever go home again.
So you've probably heard of Saltburn because it's been going around online a lot, and I finally watched it and I really enjoyed it. I loved it. I loved Promising Young Women, who was made by the same woman, Emerald Fennell, and I really enjoyed Saltburn. I thought it was beautifully shot. I thought the script was really, really good. The performances were amazing. In love with Barry Keoghan. I really love films that you can look back and dissect and like pick all these things out of them, and Saltburn is definitely one of those for me. When I first watched it, I did really enjoy it, but then it was the subsequent days after, just thinking about it and ruminating on it, where I started to like it more and more. And yeah, I just really, really enjoyed it. I think it's a very good film. I know a lot of people say it's very shocking. It is shocking to an extent, and a lot of people online have said like, oh, you think that's shocking, you should watch blah blah blah. And yes, there are other films that more shocking things happen, of course. Like there are some very weird films out there, I've seen them, but I'd say I was shocked / surprised, but also I just found like the moments, and if you've seen it, you know like the scenes I'm talking about, I just found them gross. Like it was just like gross, but it wasn't like, oh my god, this is disgusting and the most vile thing I've ever seen. It was just gross. I was just like, and just like cringing. Bear in mind, I did watch it with my parents and my younger brother, but that was fine. Like we were like, it is what it is. But yeah, just a really, really good film, I think. Love the soundtrack, and yeah, I think it deserves praise. I don't really understand or agree with people who say it's bad. I don't see that. I don't think it's bad. Yeah, that's Saltburn. I think it's good. Barry Keoghan for the win, basically. Okay, now the real number 5. We have Aftersun.
You never know where you'll end up, though. You can live wherever you want to live. Be whoever you want to be. You have time.
Which is Paul Mescal playing a struggling dad as he goes on holiday with his daughter. And it's essentially the daughter kind of remembering the holiday, looking back. I think it's her 30th birthday and she's looking back on this relationship with her dad. And it's all about kind of thinking about how when you're an adult and you realise that your parents are people, and you look back on like their life and their struggles with a new adult lens, a new adult's perspective, whereas as a kid you could never have comprehended or understood that. That's essentially what it's about. And it's a story about love, about a father-daughter bond, about mental health, about coming of age, growing up, about grief and loss. And oh my god, this film absolutely devastated me. absolutely devastated me, and I think it's mainly because it had themes and it had things that happened in my real life. So it just, I was gone. I'm gone every time I watched it. I've seen it twice now. I will be watching it again. Yeah, it's a film that absolutely devastates me. I think it's a beautiful piece of art. I think it is expertly done, and it just devastates me every time. I actually don't want to talk about it much more because I worry that I'm going to cry, because it's just so, I find it so devastating. But that's the reason I watch film, is to feel things. So it does that. It definitely makes me feel things. It kind of takes it a bit too far for me. But yes, it has my number 5 spot because it's a film that I'll cherish forever, to be honest. I'm very happy that something like that exists. Something that I can watch and feel the catharsism and reflect upon loss, and trying to remember and piece together glimpses of someone who have gone, and trying to remember the parts that you weren't paying attention to because you were a child. Very, very beautiful, beautiful film. Okay, then in number 3 we have the film The Quiet Girl.
Jún an Callin Céna.
Der siúr méid is gádaí ará.
Tá má rud é gur liomsa, ní ágin ó a riamh I dtí le stránséirí.
Seo, look, den tú sé. Ní gá duit rud ará, chuoinnig sin na gcónaí. Is mí duine nóir thógann de sé bhéalach am dúnta, is a chail mór an dá bhar.
Now this evokes similar feelings to me that Aftersun does, but a bit more wholesome and happy, just a little bit. So The Quiet Girl is about a girl in Ireland who gets fostered for a summer by family friends, essentially, because she's kind of being a little bit neglected at home because her parents have so many kids and her dad is a drunk and a gambler. So she goes to live with these family friends for the summer, and it's essentially, she spends this summer just completely transforming as a child, because she was a very nervous, shy child who wet the bed and stuff, and then she completely blossoms with this new family because it's a man and a woman who she goes to stay with, and they give her attention and they give her love that she just never had experienced before. And it's such a beautiful movie. Every shot is cinematic and gorgeous, and it's just so heartfelt, so good. Definitely sad, but yeah, so nice, so wholesome. And it's one of those films that creeps up on you, like you're watching it and not much is happening, but then by the end you're sobbing your eyes out, and you didn't realize the hold that this film was getting on you until the end, when you're like, why am I crying my eyes out right now? That's just an overall amazing film. I love The Quiet Girl so much. It's based on a book called Foster by Claire Keegan, which I really want to read, and I will read this year, 2024. I will do it. Okay, final 2 movies. I wonder if you can guess what they are. In second place, we have the film Barbie.
Humans only have one ending.
Get that Barbie!
Ideas live forever.
I'm sure you've heard about Barbie that came out. I really enjoyed it. I found it really funny. I found it really heartfelt. I have a whole video on my channel explaining why I love it. So if you want to hear more, go to that video. But yes, I really love it. I love all things feminine. I love that it was feminine. I love that it was unapologetically feminist. I love Barbie in general, so a film about her was great. I love Greta Gerwig. I love Ryan Gosling. I love Margot Robbie. So yeah, it was just a really good film and a very fun cinematic experience to go with my family, all dressed in pink. Very fun time, and the song slap. Yeah, just a very good film. Really loved Barbie. Very good. Now finally, we have the top film of the year for me, and this is a really hard one to do this year actually, because I feel like 2023 has actually been such a good film year for me. I know some of the films I watched in this list didn't come out in 2023, so not necessarily all of them came out this year. A lot of them did though. But yeah, choosing a favourite was actually really hard, but my favourite has to be Oppenheimer.
Our work here will ensure a peace mankind has never seen. Until somebody builds a bigger one.
the men who gave them the power to destroy themselves. And the world is not prepared. 7, 6, 5, 4.
When I watched this film, I was just quite frankly blown away. Yeah, just love Oppenheimer so much. I'm such a big Cillian Murphy fan, so I just feel like I was always gonna love it. I also am such a Christopher Nolan fan as well. I'm such a Christopher Nolan film bro fanboy. Like, I actually am. Like, it's a problem, but I do like most of his films. I think are masterpieces, to be honest. So yes, I love Oppenheimer, and I remember sitting in the cinema watching it and thinking, this makes so much sense, like complete sense, that Christopher Nolan would cover this figure. Like, it almost felt like to me like he had almost been waiting his whole career to make this film. Like, I don't know, it was like the stars aligned, where I was like, this makes so much sense that it's Christopher Nolan and that it's Cillian Murphy. Like, I was just like, this just feels like it was like written in stars or something. Yeah, a really, really good film. I find it very interesting, very informative, very emotional. Yeah, just really, really good. I think the performances are amazing, especially Cillian and Emily Blunt. I know some people have kind of disparaged the female storylines in it, and yeah, that the women, like, does it pass the Bechdel test? I don't know, but I think I'm just blinded by Christopher Nolan love, to be honest. I'm blinded by my film bro love on that one. But I really liked Emily Blunt's character. She was developed enough for me. I must say, it wasn't until I saw that criticism that I was like, I don't know, that it even crossed my, like, was in my radar, essentially. I do think Florence Pugh's character could definitely use some work, but I thought Emily's was pretty good, and yeah, I loved her performance, I loved her delivery, and yeah, just a really, really interesting film. Very interesting to dissect a man who is so polarizing and so interesting, and like, yeah, just to experience it all and think about it all. And one thing that I kept thinking about as we left the cinema was that I think for me the film has a very clear stance of like, bombing Japan was a mistake, which I agree with, and it was like, they shouldn't have done it, and like, kind of regret at creating this bomb that's like all this power. I found it really interesting because the film for me as well kind of shows Oppenheimer kind of, yeah, having a little bit of regret, having a little bit of like, oh, maybe like I've created something terrible. Like, it had him questioning stuff like that for me, but then I found it interesting to leave the cinema and think, yeah, but did the real Oppenheimer actually think that? Like, did he actually ever question it? Because I haven't researched that much, to be fair. So someone can tell me different, but I haven't found anything where he expressly said he regrets it, he regrets anything. Yeah, so I just found it very, very interesting to dissect such a big figure like that. And yeah, I think it was a very amazing film, very well shot, very good script. So long, but I love how long it is. Yeah, I love Cillian Murphy, and I love the end. I love Oppenheimer and Albert Einstein. Just everything about that film. I find it hard to put it into words why I liked it so much, but I did. And yeah, I am just a Christopher Nolan fanboy, clearly, and also Cillian Murphy. Like, I can't say it was hard having his face so close on the screen with his big blue eyes for 3 hours. I thoroughly enjoyed that. That was really fun. But yeah, Oppenheimer is my #1 film of 2023. So those were my top, 16 favorite films of 2023. It was such a good year for films I watched. I just hope that this year there are some more films that truly touched me like the ones this year did. Yeah, like, bring them on, please. I'd love more films like this. I think it was such a rich year in terms of what I watched, which was so nice and so enjoyable as someone who loves films so much and watches them religiously. Yeah, I'm so happy that this list is so stacked with so many good films that I will rewatch these films, every single one on the list, so many times. Like, they're just like, instant classics for me, which is really, really nice. Yeah, thank you so much for watching this very long ramble just about movies. I'm just so passionate about them. I love them so much. But yeah, thank you for watching. That is the end. I will be back next week with a new video. Bye.